What's up guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 361 of the Falcon from Captain America Civil War. For the package, much like all the other Civil War figures, you got that really cool image of the character right there in the front. And then as you move it along the side, it gives that wraparound image of the battle at the actual airport. And then when you come to the back, you got the various warnings and contact information for Hot Toys. And then when you lift up the slip sleeve cover, on the back of the inner package, you have the cast and crew responsible for making this guy. Then when you spin it around to the front, you have an open window that fully showcases the figure as well as all of his accessories. For the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out of here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Falcon from Captain America Civil War opened up and out of its packaging. And again, Hot Toys has done a terrific job with this figure. Really, almost everything that I could think of that I would want in a Falcon figure is here in this set. He actually doesn't come with a lot, but obviously when you include his wings, there's a substantial amount here. Now first up, in addition to the two fairly relaxed hands that are currently on the figure, he comes with three other pairs of hands. You got a right and left hand that's done up in a gun shooting sort of position with the trigger finger here extended. Real nice detail on here. You can see some nice the padding work and everything on there. You got a little bit of a red kind of stripe kind of going on that side. On the inside here, you got some nice padding for the palms. And obviously you have that both on the right and left hand. Then in addition to that, he comes with a both right and left fisted hand. And then you do get a right and left hand that's designed to hold the handles on his wings. You can see they're sculpted in this sort of grabbing sort of position. I guess you could use these for holding his guns, but obviously he wouldn't have his trigger finger on the trigger. But again, same great detail with the padding and paint detail. And then obviously, in addition to the two pegs that are currently on him, he comes with two additional ones in case anything happens to those. He also does come with this really nice pair of goggles. You can see very nice red ruby lenses in there. You got some gold through the center section on the side bit here. You get a little bit of silver paint with a little red dot right there. But overall, really nice. You can see that these are new. These are the old Falcon's different goggles. You can see they're a little bit smaller than what the old ones were. But also you get a little bit more paint detail throughout it as well. So definitely, in my opinion, these are an improvement over the old set. Now, he also does come with a couple different handguns. They're identical sculpts, they're just the two of them basically, but then you can see that you got a little section right here where the magazine clip can slide out. If I can use a fingernail, pull that out like so, and then you got that nice bronze paint for the bullet right there. You can slide that right back up in. But one thing that I will say though is that this gun is identical to the ones that we got in the previous one. You just got a little bit darker of a paint. You can see that the old one has a little bit lighter of a paint wash on it. But they are identical guns. Sculpting wise, it's the exact same. The handles are the exact same. You can even see that he has the little hole on there because as you remember, in the original version, this is obviously the one that's on the opposite hand, but the hole actually allowed you to peg it in there so that you could attach it to the wings, you know, kind of have them swiveling around and things like that. Or not necessarily the wings, I forgot what it attached to, but you can see that they are the exact same guns. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but there are a couple instances of reused parts with this, and the guns are the first. Now, he also does come with this little extra piece right here, coming up a little bit to kind of show how that is incorporated. He's got a little machine gun here on his, forearm gauntlet. It's a little piece right here. It does detach. Really nice detail on this as well. Get him in a stand right there. Very nice detail on this as well. You got some nice line work and everything like that, but it just tabs here along the side, and that's in its, I guess, standby mode. You get this little piece right here that you come around and then you will attach this to that arm gauntlet, and then you take this section and then you just line up the little holes, which is for me a little bit difficult because I'm looking at it the wrong way. So you just slide that in, lock that into place, and now he's got an extended little wrist machine gun, which I think is pretty cool. I like that the suit has a little bit more functionality and actual weapons built into it. Definitely seems like Tony had a bit of a say in the evolution of the original suit for Falcon. But like I was saying, you just take this off and then you can just peg this right back on there. And again, you have it in its standby mode. So that's an additional little accessory as well, and like I said, you get the little harness for that. Now, setting him off to the side, obviously he does come with his wings, which I'll highlight, but you got a couple extra little accessories right here where, let me see if I can get it right. You got this little piece right here that removes via a magnet, and then you just take this, and I never remember which side is the right one, but maybe it's that? No, I'm trying to, no, maybe it's this side. We'll figure it out eventually, boys and girls. Or no, maybe it's something like that. No, that doesn't look right. That can't be right, Paul. Maybe it's this way. Something. I'm fiddling with it. Maybe it does go on that actual side. And there you go. So you can remove it, and you have a little missile pod sort of thing on there. He did have that. It was something that the movie nicely did incorporate, again, into the actual suit itself. So you do get a right and left missile pod set up for that. You got some nice silver paint for the actual little missiles. You got 4 of them in each section. So that's really cool. And then obviously he comes with his backpack. Now, this is the collapsed version of it. And bringing in the original, you can see that it is a lot more streamlined and smaller. Again, clearly Tony Stark had a little bit of a field day with it, but overall, real cool design. Basically clips on the same way where you got the little hook kind of thing right there. But the new one, I love the way that it looks. You got these little warning things down here. You got the nice red highlights with the little silver bits throughout the entire thing. Really very, very sharp looking. And yes, he does come with Red Wing. Now, this is a little bit precarious. You kind of have to wiggle these side bits. If you had a little something to push from the inside here, that's basically what you need to do. So you just wiggle this out like that. Do that on this side as well. And I don't like pulling on things. I wish there was a different way that they did this, like maybe magnets or something, just to, I don't know. I mean, you have to attach the wings to this, so maybe you couldn't do magnets. I get why they're doing the slot thing, but I just don't like pulling things. But here you have Red Wing, so you can detach this, and again, still really nice detail on the inside here. For Red Wing, you then fold this section out, come around here to the bottom, you can fold the wing out like that, and there's his little head, and there you got Red Wing, and that's a cool looking accessory as well. Obviously, you need to have this because it was part of his arsenal. So it's cool that they actually included it. And now you can actually take this and you can still put these on here if you really wanted to. I'm not going to put them all the way. Well, no, well, what side am I doing here, Paul? Yeah, there we go. You can put that. I'm not going to push them all the way in because it'll lock it again. So if you wanted to have him displayed without the wings extended, you can have Red Wing out and you can still close that back up and complete the look. But it looks like a stealth drone. I mean, I think that's really cool. You got some nice warning strips down there, but overall really sharp looking there. And then obviously he does come with his wings. So what you do for that, again, you just remove these pieces like so. Go ahead and take that completely out. And then you got the little slot right here that you just line that up right on the inside. Get that, there we go. Give that a nice little push like so. Bring this one out and do the exact same thing here as well. So you just slot that in like that. So I could see, like I said, why you couldn't necessarily have that be like a magnet or something. And again, you can have these wings with Red Wing out of it, or if you really wanted to, you can put Red Wing back in there. It's your personal preference. But these are the big accessory for them. So basically, these sections here look the exact same. And then, and again, if you wanted to, you can take this off. You can take this little piece right here. You can line that up and get the little missile pods on there, kind of armoring up. I mean, again, it's your personal preference. But these wings are so much nicer. Now, like I showed you before, the whole backpack is different, and the wings are also different as well. So setting this down and bringing in the wing from the original, you can see that very similar look and design, but absolutely newly molded. These have like a little bit more of a texture on them, kind of like a carbon fiber sort of thing, whereas these ones are clear. I kind of like the translucent nature of these, but I love the detail in there. So you got a lot more red and everything. Extend that all the way up. You can also see that they arc a whole lot higher than previously. So this is where it would attach. And like I said, you got this section here that actually connects it to the wing. This, if you remember, just kind of slid in on the side there. So this is definitely a much bigger arcing wing than what the previous one was, and you create a much cooler look with it. He does still have the handle, although the handle's a little bit different. You can see that this is a, you know, like a two connected kind of a handle, whereas this one is more just like a standard handle with one connection point, but vastly better looking wings. One of the other aspects that makes these wings so much nicer, as you can see, that they still, you know, flex forward and back. Get that on there like so. They still have the hinge right here, so you got a point right here that allows you to bring that up and down, and then you have a point right here that allows you to bring that up and down. But they also can now angle up like so, which is fantastic. Now, as you notice, they are a little bit loose. If you leave it alone, it's perfectly fine, but it can fall down. There are actually little screws. Let me see if I can find it. There are little screw holes right down here that you can tighten that up and kind of create a stronger sort of grab on there so that they stay up much nicer. One thing, these parts here do flop off quite often. That gets a little bit annoying, but if you're very careful and just leave it like that, it'll stay up there very nicely. But if you move it, obviously it will come down. So I love the fact that you can hinge those up and down. You can create a lot of very cool poses, and like I said, they arch up much more, almost menacingly, which I think is wonderful. And then, like I said, you got the little hook sections right here. You come around here to the back of the figure, and all you do, I'm going to swivel that around, you just bring this in, line up those little kind of hooks. If I can get them lined up, there we go. There we are. Get that lined up like so. Come up so you can actually see it, and then push it down, and that locks it into place. And there you have his completed look. And again, really very awesome. I'll touch on this piece here in just a second. And then I guess his final accessory would be his display stand. As you can see, it's this kind of baseball diamond shaped display stand with the Captain America logo. Of course, you got the shield there in the back. Very nice embossed kind of design on there. Obviously, he's got the Falcon nameplate there. But he comes with technically two different pillars. Obviously, you have the flexible dynamic pillar right here, which works perfectly for pulling off flight poses. But then you also get this clear one, which is obviously fairly hard to see. That's for Red Wing. You can take him, you can wedge him in there like that, and you can create a very cool sort of flying pose with him there. So if you wanted to have, obviously, Falcon flying around, you can have Red Wing, oh, you can't see him, but you can have Red Wing kind of flying there along with him, which I think is terrific. And then to complete the look, obviously, I'm going to swivel these down a little bit. You have his goggles. The best way to put these on is very carefully, first of all, is you don't want to damage the paint or anything like that, but you just take these, put them on the back, kind of on an angle, and then slowly push them down just like so, and bring him over his actual eyes. Let's see, actually keep it on there straight, and then bring it down just like so. And you can have that look, which obviously he had whenever he was flying around. And they're still a little bit crooked, but I'll fiddle with that later on. But obviously, you can leave them up if you really wanted to as well. One thing that I like is that it's not as tight as the other one was, so it doesn't feel like it's going to be rubbing on too terribly much, especially if you just leave them kind of hanging up like that. But as for all of his accessories, that's everything. Like I said, it's not a lot, really, but what you do get is fairly substantial in of itself. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the figure, one other aspect that does appear to be reused, in addition to probably the body, is actually the face sculpt. I do think it is the exact same that we got previously, with the exception of some different paint. Now, that doesn't bother me really at all because I think that the likeness is spot on, but it does appear that the face sculpt is the same as the previous version. Coming in to take a closer look at it, like I said, the only thing that really appears to be different would probably be the paint details on it. You have a little bit darker of a actual skin tone on the new version, whereas the old one has a little bit lighter of a tone. Same with the actual hair color. But you can definitely see that the portrait is the same. It's not necessarily a bad thing because, like I talked about, it really is spot on in terms of the likeness, I just want to point it out to you. But then looking at the rest of the outfit, you can see it does have a similar kind of look to that original one, but obviously much different. Overall, really very, very nice looking. I love the shoulder pads right here. You even have, like, on the side, a little Falcon logo. But the addition of the color just really does help. It does have that same kind of militaristic gray kind of look, but with the addition of the red, just really nicely accentuates everything. You come down here to the arm sections, and you got those little wrist gauntlets that have that little extra detail on there as well. On the sides here with the belt area, you got all these little gizmos and everything. Now, they're not removable, and I have no idea what they actually are, but just, I mean, again, great detail. I mean, even when you come to, like, the inside section here, you got some nice detail with the little buckles and everything. You come down to the legs, nice strapping and everything throughout the entire thing. And then I love the way that they kind of updated his boots. Really very sharp looking, very armored, even with the foot section. But this is all a separate piece from the actual foot, so you do get a nice range of motion there. Now, one thing that I talked about is, and I said that I would mention this, is this piece unfortunately did pop off on mine. You can see that it has a little kind of indent right there, which is actually glued on to this little strap, so I can fix it. But in terms of the articulation, this is a part that you do want to be careful with. So first, articulation, the head is on two different joints. You got the upper neck joint, and then you got a lower neck joint. So when you rotate it, you can see that his whole neck section with, like, the Adam's apple rotates around. So you can actually get a fairly good, lean back kind of pose that when you want to position the wings back, you can get him flying, which I think that looks really cool. So you get a nice range of motion there with the actual head. The shoulders move in and out. There is some restriction here, but if you're patient with it, you can kind of rotate things around, and you can get his arms, as you rotate that, you can get his arms about that far up. Again, as you rotate the arms, just manipulate, oh, and there his little machine gun fell off. Just manipulate the actual sleeve, and you can get a little bit easier of a range of motion with it. He rotates, or I'm sorry, he does have a little bit of a butterfly joint right there. Doesn't rotate at the upper part of the bicep. He does have the bend here at the elbow, and then it hinges forward and back. So decent range of motion there. Again, it does have that sort of weirdness when you bend the arm. Obviously, the bicep is going to stay in that position, but it doesn't bother me too much because it's basically covered up here. The wrists do rotate, they move in and out as well. I really like what they did with the actual suit here. It's done in a total of like 3 different sections, or at least 2 different sections. This upper section right here, and it's very nicely blended, but you can see this piece right here does in fact rotate side to side. And you got a little bit of a ab crunch right there. But like I said, the suit is very seamless. It looks very nice. And then the bottom section also does have a separation, so as you rotate it, you can actually get a pretty good range of motion with it, and you can also crunch them very nicely. So you got an upper section here, a lower section here, and then the pants. All very nicely incorporated. The hips move forward and back. That's about as far as you're going to be able to get it. They move in and out fairly decently. He does rotate at the upper part of the thigh. He's got 2 joints here at the knee. And then when you come down to the ankles, again, like I said, you got an upper section right here, and then the boot. The boot does rotate, and then you got this little piece right here that is on this little tab section. So this does move, but when you move it up, it can get caught underneath there, and that's what happened with mine, and it ended up popping it off. So you do get a decent range of motion with it, and like I said, this part here flexes. So I'm just going to have to glue that back on there. It's not that big of a deal, but in terms of an ankle pivot, the side sections here actually do limit it a little bit because it's very close to the boot. So all that you're gonna really get is about that range of motion for it. So it's not a ton of posability, but if you go like that on both sides, you can get a pretty decent, spread leg sort of pose. Obviously, with the wings, you can hinge them forward and back, even a little bit of a flap. But like I talked about, you got a section right here, and then you have another section right here. So you can get very cool, dynamic sort of looks with these wings. I absolutely love that. I mean, you can bring them down, you can bring them around like so, which I think is great because you can kind of use that as a bit of a shield of sorts. So when he's being attacked, he can kind of bring that around his body. Not obviously a heck of a lot, but you can see it does shield him a little bit. And then you got the handles right here. So much like all the other version, you can bring the arms around. It does take a little bit of finagling to do, but you can bring that up and around, and you can get him actually holding the wings if you really wanted. I do like how it's actually open here in the bottom, so you can slide that in a little bit easier. I'm trying to do it here to just articulate that for you guys, but you can, yeah, you can see you can bring that up, which makes it a lot easier to pose as opposed to the old version that had that bottom section. So a much nicer design just in terms of what, you know, Marvel was able to do, and Hot Toys really captured it very nicely. Overall, though, another absolutely terrific release from Hot Toys. They succeeded in taking a very good figure previously and utilizing the look that he had in Civil War, updated him very, very nicely. In terms of the look for this guy, I really do prefer this. Even though they utilize a few of the previous figure's parts, to me that isn't bad whatsoever. Mostly because I think that the portrait is spot on. The only thing they really needed to do was tweak the skin tone a little bit, and they did that. And I think it turned out fantastic looking. The improvements to the wings, the overall look of the suit, everything on this figure is a marked improvement over that original. So if Falcon here is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he is available right now at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of their wide range of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you never miss out on a future review of mine. Or if you're already subscribed, be sure to click on that little bell right below this video, and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.